So you bought some land, you moved to Florida, you get the land in Florida, you come to Florida, you build your dream house, and it takes you like, I don't know, 8 months, to a year to build. You're getting ready to move in, everything's fine, and then you get the tax bill for your new house that you just built. And you can't even live there because now you can't afford the taxes. Folks, this is a nightmare that is real. I got the story for you coming up later here. First of all, we're going to get to all these facts and everything up here in Northeast Florida, the Jacksonville metro area, where I go over the latest market for the last week, where I take you into the back end of my MLS. I'm going to go over a lot tonight. This is some of what I'm going to be covering. Okay, I'll be looking at tonight, what is the current active listings, how many sold in the last 7 days, how many homes are under contract, how many new homes sold in the last 7 days, what is the current active new homes listings, that will be your new home inventory, how many active listings are in foreclosure status, and that will also include pre-foreclosure and short sales, how did people pay for these homes, what percentage of homes sold under list, at list, and above list, and much, much more, all this from my MLS account. I also add in there about the condos because the condo situation is a concern to a lot, so we'll cover condos too. Hey, you know what? I'm just a regular guy who happens to be a real estate agent up here in North Florida, and I take you every week into the back end of my MLS and pull out a lot of information for you so you can decide whether you want to buy or sell. So let's start off right now with going back into the MLS and looking at those active listings, which is the inventory. All right, here we are in the back end of Northeast Florida's MLS, and we're going to start off with those active listings. Total active listings is 8,887. And that is your inventory right now. Okay, next we're going to look at how many sold in the last 7 days. That number is 580. Next we're going to take a look and see how many are active under contract. That number is 1,571. Okay, now these are ones that are active under contract with a contingency. Contingencies can be for financing, maintenance, appraisals, anything. So usually they have that. Now, after the contingency has cleared, then they go into pending status. So let's see how many homes went into pending status in the last 7 days. That number is 368. Okay, when you add up the pending and the active under contract, that gives you your total under contract. Okay, next we're going to take a look and see how many people withdrew their listings in the last 7 days. That number is 63. Now these withdrawals are ones that are still active listings. It's just that they cannot be shown. They've taken them temporarily off the market for showing. Could be somebody sick, could be somebody's working at home, can't show the house, could be for repairs to the house after someone else came in and did an inspection and the seller wanted to repair them. There's various reasons, but the big thing is that they are still active listings. Next we're going to look at how many expired in the last 7 days. That number is 104. Now expired are different than from withdrawn in that expired, they did not sell and they're not on the market, okay? They're not an active listing no longer. All right, now let's take a look. Whoops, I forgot. Well, I want to go back to those solds. Okay, that number there was 580. It stayed the same. Sometimes we get one that sneaks in. And so what I need to do is I need to export that into the Excel spreadsheet. So that's what we're doing right now. And that's what gives me all my data that I'm going to put into my Excel spreadsheets, okay? All right, now let's see what we need to do. We looked at the expired, so we want to look at the new homes sold, see how many new homes sold in the last 7 days. That number is 188. Okay, next we want to take a look and see how many new homes are active inventory, and that would be the inventory for the new construction homes, and that number is 2,074. All right, next we're going to take a look and see how many are active listings that are statused as foreclosures, pre-foreclosures, and short sales. Okay, so let's start off with those foreclosures. Okay, the amount of foreclosures is 318. Okay, next we're going to take a look at the pre-foreclosures. That number is 15, and next we're going to take a look at short sales. And that number is 27. All right, next we're going to take a look at all this data and the condos, and we're going to just pull the condo information out of it. So we're going to look at active listings that are condominiums. The active condos is 1,077. Okay, next we're going to take a look and see how many condos sold in the last 7 days. That number is 43. We're going to take a look and see how many are active under contract. That number is 151. We're going to take a look and see how many of those went pending then in the last 7 days. That number is 21. And again, that's the same as the other. When you add up those two, active under contract and pending, then you get the total under contract. All right, how many condominiums withdrew in the last 7 days? That number is 5. Next, we're going to take a look and see how many condominiums expired that did not sell in the last 7 days. That number is 13. And we're going to look at new condos sold. That number is 0. And what is the new condo inventory? That number is 8. Okay, we also take a look at the foreclosures for the condos too. And this is where we look at foreclosure, pre-foreclosure, and short sales. Now these are of the active listings. Okay, right now we have 42. Next we're going to take a look and see how many are in pre-foreclosure. That is 0. And then what is short sales? Okay, that number is 1. All right, now I take all that data that we got and everything I just covered in an MLS, what you saw there, there's a lot more to it that I pull out of that because I export all that into an Excel spreadsheet that looks kind of like this with just a lot of jumbled numbers, and then I clean it up and put it into my own Excel spreadsheet, which looks more like this, which makes it easier to look at, okay? So, hey, you know what? I'm out here on location in a new development and actually in front of another new house. Hey, and it's an awful sunny day out here today. So I'm going to be wearing these sunglasses through the whole show. But first, before we get to those charts, let's look and see what those interest rates did. All right, here we are. We start off with the 30-year fixed, and we're looking at last week. We left at 7.09. Look at them red arrows, and they're good size red arrows, so that we end up at 7.29, although it was a little bit higher during the week, but ended up at 7.29, which is still an increase from last week. All right, those FHA rates are generally a little less. Let's see what they did. Okay, here we are with the 30-year FHA, and last week we were at 6.64. Again, a bunch of red arrows, and at 6.82 we end up the week. All right, let's see where the VAs fell in. Okay, here we are. Last week, 6.65 for the VA, and a bunch of red arrows too. Same pattern. 6.84 is what we end up with. So everything trended up this last week. All right, well, as you can see, those rates are moving in the wrong direction. Remember, we were told at the end of last year that this year there was going to be 3 or 4 rate cuts through the year, and we expected to be in the 6s or high 5s right now. Well, that definitely isn't happening. So, you know, it is a problem, okay, with the price of homes going up and then the interest rates falling also. Hey, all right, now I'm going to take all that data that we had. It's sorted out, and I've got it into my own Excel spreadsheet. So let's go through all the spreadsheets. We're going to go through first the spreadsheets on everything, all the sales and numbers for everything sold, and then we're going to break the condos out of that. All right, here we are into the Excel spreadsheets that I've converted over to mine to make it a little easier to read. Now, these columns in yellow are the weeklies that we do in this current season. So as you see right here, I'm in season 3. We're week 3. This one is the one we're doing now. This is our current. Then these previous weeks are the weeks before those other columns. Now next to it, you see the in the white, That's season 2, week 3. That was 1 year ago. So we should compare the numbers with last year at this time, and then YOY is the percentage of the difference. And this is what I like about my charts, is because I'm showing you the exact numbers that I pulled from that time last year, not by some other chart that I pulled this information. This was the actual numbers we pulled, because I've been doing this now for over 2 years. So let's get started. Here we are, the active listings, 8,887. That's up a little, still following the trend that it's going up. Solds in the last 7 days, 580. So that is up, okay? That's actually up, okay, up from the last 2 weeks. Let's look a little bit before and see where we were at. 583. Okay, now there we were, season 2, week 51, that hit the 700. So we're down from that, and that's where we thought we would be more, you know, with the spring rush here, but it didn't happen. So, but 580 was still good. Active under contract, okay, 1,571. So that dropped just a little bit from the last couple weeks. Pending 368, that also dropped. So our total under contract is 1,939. So that has dropped up since the last couple of weeks. Withdraws 63, expired 104 expired in the last 7 days. New homes sold 188. That is also went up, and the new homes that are active 2,074. So that's your inventory, stayed about the same. Now this is the number that I always like to look at, and it's interesting. The percentage of homes sold that are new jumped, okay, from around 20% the last couple weeks to almost a third, okay, this week, okay. A third of the homes sold were new construction homes, and later I'm going to talk a little bit about this, okay. Let's take a quick look just at the condos. Active condos 1,077, so we see an increase there. Solds 43, not a lot. We're still, percentage of active condos, actives that are condos are in the 12% range. All right, so how do people pay for these, okay, homes? All right, cash, you know, about a quarter of them, 26.72%, conventional 38.79%, FHA 16.21, VA 15.86, so that's up a little bit. And the conventionals went down, and others at 2.41, so still staying about the same. Okay, those foreclosures, 318, okay. Pre-foreclosures 15, short sales 27, for a total of 360. Now this wasn't supposed to happen, right? Okay, foreclosures went down, all right? We were told that, 2008 was coming, all right? Well, it didn't. So the foreclosures are still up. They, you know, from what they were, but we're not seeing 2008 numbers. Far from it, okay? So, but that's why we got this show, so we can watch and see. All right, homes that sold under list, at list, and above list. All right, here's the percentage of those homes. Okay, we can see the homes that sold under list dropped a little bit to just under 70%. Homes that sold at list, you know, up a little bit, 16.55%. And homes that sold above list stayed pretty close to the same, you know, just under 14%. Okay, so still quite a few. Now, all that could be, you know, with people pricing it better. Or, you know, some people, like these homes that sold above list, I'm telling you, I think some of them are where people price them below market at the beginning to get multiple offers to jump it up, and then that's what causes that above list. And it doesn't take a whole lot. I mean, we're not seeing like these massive numbers of 100,000, 50,000 above list. You know, a lot of them are like 10, 20, or 30,000, okay? The different price categories, okay, the percentages of homes that were sold within these different price categories. Starting first with those that are 500,000 and above. So that there jumped up a little bit, okay, to, you know, over 30%. Homes that sold in the 400s also jumped up at 15%. Homes in the 300,000s, okay, down slightly, 25.34%. Homes that sold in the 200s, pretty much the same, just a little over 20%. And homes that sold below 200, now that did drop, okay, to 8.62%. All right. Now, over here on the side, you can see this is the new homes, the amount of new homes that sold. We had a total of 188, and these are the amount that sold at these prices, okay? 59 of them sold for $500,000 above, 20 in the 400s, 71 in the 300s. That's that big sweet spot, okay, still. The 200s, 38, okay, for a total of 188. So looking at the new homes, okay, what percentage sold under list, at list, and above list, as you can see here. Those that under list dropped slightly to 65.43. Homes that sold at list went up to 18.62 from last week's numbers, and homes that sold above list dropped a little bit, 15.96. Okay, now the next thing I do is what is called MLS Advantage, okay? Now MLS Advantage, it takes in all these other MLS boards up here. Now, I'm in Northeast Florida's MLS, and that's the largest board here in Northeast Florida, and that's what we've gotten all these numbers. Now, what I pull out of MLS Advantage, it includes the 9 counties in this Jacksonville Metro. Now, some people will say Jacksonville Metro has 7, but I say it's more like 9, okay? And these are the counties that you see here. Now, what I'm gonna do is pull out the solds from these other MLS boards and combine it all together from all around those areas, because there's several of them. I cross-sell into their area, they cross-sell into ours. That's why we get more numbers, and we show you really how much sales is really going on. Then what I do is I break it down into counties, and I'll show you the individual counties where the sales are, so you can kind of track, because St. Johns County is the hot county up here. Even though Duval is Jacksonville, St. John is where a lot of that new construction is, and of course it gets you closer to St. Augustine, all right? But there is still a lot of new construction going on in Duval and Clay County also, and Flagler, all over the place, all right? So now let's take a look at that MLS Advantage. All right, here we are in MLS Advantage. Okay, now we're gonna look at those 9 counties: Baker, Bradford, Union, Clay, Nassau, Duval, St. Johns, Flagler, and Putnam. So we go over here and we hit the search button. We show 807 properties sold. Okay, let's go, now we'll go back and break them down by counties. All right, and then when we take it and put it into the counties, it falls out like this. There we had our total of 807. So we start off with Baker County, just dropped only 1 from last week. Union stayed the same at 1. Bradford dropped to 4, so 1/4 of what they had the week before and the previous other week. So they really did fall off the cliff this week. Clay County, 59. Now again, remember, this is when the totals went up, okay? Up a couple to 59. Nassau jumped up a little more at 82. Duval County, 286. St. John's had a good jump, 239. And that's where a lot of our new homes are in St. John's. Not all of them, but a lot of them. Flagler County stayed the same at 122. Putnam at 13 for a total of 807, which was a pretty good jump from the last few weeks. But again, when we look at that week 51 there, I mean, that was a huge one, okay? So, but we did see an increase. All right, now let's take a look at the condos. All right, here we are. Week 13 of the condos, okay, because I started doing these a lot later. Now this is where I just pull the condo information out of everything. The others you saw was a total of everything, and here I just dissect the condos, okay. Active, 1,077, so we're seeing that up a little bit. Solds, 43, up, and active under contract, 151, and that's gone up. Pending, 21, okay, that went up. And total under contract, 172. Now, see the difference between this and when everything we saw pending going down, but we see pending going up, and we see the active under contract going up for the new not new condos, for condos, okay? And this is something that we want to track and we want to see. All right, withdrawals, 5, expired 13, new condos sold 0, and new condos active 8. How did people pay for those condos? All right, more people are paying cash, all right, up to 55.81%. 44.19 conventional, and no FHA and no VA, okay? And with these condominiums, now remember, why we see a higher amount with cash and then we see less with the FHA and VA is because if it's not just the individual person buying that condo, it can be because that the percentage of people living in that building are either behind in their HOA payments or delinquent in mortgages, stuff like that. And when it reaches a certain threshold, these lenders will not lend anything in that building, and that's why you always see a little bit higher cash, because they're a little bit harder to finance. Although we see, you know, it's almost split there. We got conventional at 44%, but no FHA and no VA this time. Okay, here we take a look at the foreclosures, and at 42, pre-foreclosure 0, short sales 1. So it's, yeah, I mean, it's the same as last week, but down a little bit from the last couple weeks. Right here we look at those condos also that sold under list, at list, and above list. Okay, 86% sold under list. So when it comes to the condominiums, we really see a high amount of that are sold under list at this time, right? And then the condos that sold at list 9, and the condos above list 4.65. So while it did increase from the others, it's still low numbers, but those numbers under list are big. Now over here on the side, because the condo numbers are so few, I give you the totals here. 37 sold under list, 4 at list, and 2 above list. Brings us up to the 43. All right, now when we look at the condos in their price categories, those that sold for $500,000 and above, 16.28%. Condos that sold in the 400s, 9.3. Condos that sold in the 300s, 11.63. So that's down from last week's, but you know, about where we were a few weeks. Condos that sold in the 200s, okay, that jumped, okay, to 41.87, and also we had an increase there in the condos below 200s. Now, with the homes, remember the sweet spot there was in the 300s, okay, but the condos here, the sweet spots turn it into the 200s, all right, and you look at the numbers on the right, 7 of them 500 up, 4 in the 400s, 5 in the 300s, and 18 in the 200s, and ending it up with 9 in the below 200. All right. New condos sold, nothing, same as most of the weeks, so nothing to report there. All right, here's where I look at the number of condos sold, you know, to the number of stories of the unit, of not the unit itself, but of the building, okay? Because remember that law says 3 stories and above, okay, is required for this new law that's coming in. And if we look here, what I do is I break down, because this is just for grins to see if there's a trend. So far I haven't really seen it. But here we had 1-story buildings, 4 units sold this week. 2 stories, 24 units. The 3 stories, 10 units, 4 and so on, and 7 stories, 1, and then you can see 17 and 18, and then 38 stories, just 1, 1, and 1. And that gives us a total of 43. Now, the age of the condos does matter in this law, so what I do also is I just take a look, and I look at, you know, these are the individual condos, okay? So that 2007, that's not one condo that sold or 1 story for all of one that were 2007. That's just that one, okay? And I break it down by the stories of the building itself, the whole complex, and just show you the ages of those. So you see that in the 1 stories, we had one that was 2007, one in 1992, one 1980, and one 1997, and so on. So instead of rattling down through all these, I'm just going to scroll down so you can look, and it gives you an idea of the age of these condos versus the stories, you know, because these are the 2 factors that go into that new law. So just look to see if there's any kind of a trend. and you can just stop the video anytime you want if you want to look at those. And I'm just going to scroll to the bottom. Okay, next we take a look at what counties sold these condos. Clay County had 1, Duval County had 26, St. Johns County had 11, and Nassau County had 5. That brings us our total to 43. Okay, the last thing we show out of the Excel spreadsheet here is that I'll show the original list price that you see over here. On the left, the closed price is what it sold for, the difference, and these are the ones that sold below list price, and it shows the amount they sold below list price, and then you can base it. Now, see, like, take a look at, like, you know, that, let's see, let's look at the third one down. Was $249,900, sold at $208,500. That was $41,400 below its list price. That is a higher percentage than, say, the one below it that was like at $399,000, sold at $367,500 for $31,500 below. So it just gives you an idea. You could take a look, use them for whatever you want. And I'm just going to scroll this too so that you can take a look, and feel free to pause the video as needed. Okay, now I'm going to get to that story of the property tax situation, but first it's just that all these Excel spreadsheets that I use, my own sheets, just to let you know that, and also when I do the houses of the week, I'm going to have MLS sheets that are available. Now I include the pictures. All that is available for download off of my newsletter. My weekly newsletter comes out every Tuesday. If you want to subscribe to it, just send me an email to this email right here. Say you want to be put on the newsletter, and you'll get it. And that's where you can download the Excel spreadsheet that I use on the show, and then those MLS sheets, okay, for the houses of the week and condos of the week. All right, this last, let's see, on the Memorial Day weekend, I was out of town. I went down to Fort Lauderdale, okay, actually on some personal business. It is not on my bucket list to go down on Memorial Day weekend to South Florida, but I went down there. And I was talking to some people, you know, of course I talk about real estate, and then what happened was I ended up talking to somebody about this guy. His house was up for sale, and it was like it's like a brand new house he just built. Why? Well, he bought the land, went and built his dream house on it, put a nice house on it, what he wanted, okay, figured this was going to be his forever home, all that. Well, the tax assessor comes out and they assess his property based on what they think it's worth on maybe what some other sales. They put it up so high that, and with the millage rate down there in South Florida, I mean, his property taxes were going to be almost $50,000 a year. Now, this is a regular guy, working guy. He's actually a first responder, and $50,000 a year, he can't afford it, can't do it. So now he has to sell his house because of the property taxes. See, what happened was he had the vacant land for maybe 3 years, 2 or 3 years, but on Florida, you have the Save Our Homes Amendment where your property taxes can't go up more than 3% a year, okay, once you've established yourself. But what happens, that doesn't count with vacant land. It's only a homesteaded property. So even though he had the land to build the house, he got screwed when that came down. They assessed it. That was it, okay? So that is an absolute disaster. Something you got to think about if you're going to build your own house, okay? Now what I'm going to do is next we're going to show you the houses of the week and the condos of the week. And take a look at this, and holy cow, there is one condo of the week you are not going to believe. I almost fell out of my chair when I saw it. So let's start off with those right now. All right, here we are. We're going to start off with the houses of the week, and we're going to start off with the one that sold above list price. Okay, this house here, built in 1988, 1,970 square feet, located in Duval County. It's a 3-bedroom, 2-bath, okay? Now, let's go ahead and check out the history on this house. Okay, as we can see here, they started off at $487,000 for the house, and just in 3 days they got an offer for $524,500. okay, now it didn't show in here that there was multiple offers, but I gotta believe that in 3 days it has to been, or I mean, they just got one person that gave them over 500, and I guess they were saying if they got over 500 they were going to take it. Okay, and here we see a Okay, and here we see in this history, we see when they bought it, and they bought it back in November of 2022 for $435,000. Okay, so let's put it into an appreciation calculator and see how they did. Okay, here we are in appreciation calculator, and I think they only had 500 in concessions, so that's minor. I didn't even deduct that. But they bought it for $435,000, had it for almost 13 years. Not almost 13 years. They made almost 13% per year. They had it about 1.5 years, okay, but did 12.76%, okay, appreciation. So they did good. Okay, now we're going to take a look at the house of the week that sold below list price. This one here, built in 1993, 1,817 square feet. It's a 3-bedroom, 2-bath, and it's in Clay County. All right, let's take a look at its history. Okay, as we can see here, they started out with $499,000, okay? Now, after just 2 weeks, okay, they dropped it $100 grand to $399, all right? Well, at 29 days, they got an offer for $345, and they took the money and ran. All right, what did they pay for this house? Okay, this house was, handed down in the family here. That's what we had. It may have been a death or something like that, that we see here, a quitclaim deed. That's where you get the 100, okay? But in all essence, they bought the house in 2004 for $167,200. Let's put that in an appreciation calculator. And, I forgot to say that they did give like $13,000 in concessions, a little over that, so I deducted that from the sale price, okay, since it was so much. So here we got a little over 19 and a half years, 3.5%, okay. So that one they didn't do so great on over the time, and they bought it in 2004, just before 2005, when everything went crazy. But this here, it may have started going up a little bit, and then no telling why. They took what they did, and then they gave that much in concessions. Okay. Now this one did go VA, so that means it has the strict appraisal, where it's like a mini inspection. So it passed all that. So the house must have been in decent shape. Okay, so that it looks like they got a good deal on this one. Okay, next we're going to look at the condos that sold for below list price. This one here was built in 1996, 1,258 square feet. It's only 2 stories total for the complex. It's in Duval County, a 3-bedroom, 2-bath. And let's take a look at how much their monthly payments are for the association fees. And here we are, $543 a month, okay? Now keep in mind that this is the 2-story, okay? Now it was an older one, 1996, but it is in the 2 stories, okay? Let's take a look at the history on this. This one here started out $335,000, okay? They kept it at that, but at 29 days, they got an offer for $305,000, which they took, okay? So, that isn't on the market that long, but I guess they were happy with something over $300,000 and took that deal. Now, this one here, they did not have any concessions on it, so let's take a look and see what they paid for it. Okay, this one was bought in 2008, okay? That famous 2008 for $187,000. Now I'm looking at the previous person bought it for $165,000 back in 2003, so I'm thinking maybe they overpaid in 2008 for that. Okay, let's take a look and see in an appreciation calculator what this all looks like. Okay, here they had it for a little over 16 years. And 3.04% per year appreciation, so that is low because, historically, 5 to 6% is what you would like to see. So it's possible that they did overpay for it, and so that's why when they got this offer, it was over $300,000, they took it because, with the condo situation as it is now, they were probably just afraid to leave it go on. All right, now to the big one. All right, this one here is gonna throw you all for a loop. Hope you've got your seat belts on. This is something else. We haven't seen anything like this. All right, built in 1974, 1,505 square feet. Now it is 2 stories total, okay? So it's a 2-bedroom, 2.5 bath, okay? Now let's take a look and see what those monthly fees are. Well, holy crap, almost $824 a month, okay? Also on top of that, you have an annual fee of $1,750, okay? Now, it gets worse than that. When you have a condominium that you're selling, you have a condo rider is what they call it, where they explain the fees, okay? And right now we're seeing a lot with these assessments and things that are coming up for repairs, right? So let's take a look at this condo rider on this one. Okay, here you are with the rider, and then down here is where they list the fees, maintenance fee and other assessments. There we see the monthly fee of almost $824, and then there's the $1,750 a year. All right, but this is the biggie. Special assessment. Look at that amount, $40,587, a one-time fee. And folks, this special assessment, now you see this part here where it says seller shall pay special assessments levied by the association prior to the date of closing unless otherwise agreed in writing after seller's full written disclosure to the buyer of pending amounts. Well, here's the full disclosure. And this one here in the contract did require that the buyer pay the special assessment, okay? Holy crap, $40,000, all right. That's a mess. Well, let's take a look at, what they paid for it. Okay, the history on this shows that they started off selling it for $675,000. They did have multiple offers. In 7 days, 1 week, they took an offer for $682. So the multiple offers were probably offers below, because everyone's saying, you know what? Condos ain't selling, they're going to take anything. So who knows what the other offers were. Some were probably at list price, $675, and they thought it was good. This person just went $7,000 over, and they ended up getting it for $682. All right, what did these people pay for it? Okay, now, they bought it for $310,000 back in 2020, not that long ago, but they did a lot of upgrades. I mean, this thing, they spent money on this. Now, did they spend 300 grand? I don't think so, but there's something special about this because these people even took it even with that $40,000 special assessment. Let's put just this into an appreciation calculator, and here we look. And here we look at it after just over 4 years, over 20% appreciation. So they did good, and they dumped it before that special assessment of 40 grand had to be paid. All right. I'm looking at these houses of the weeks and stuff like that, and it's crazy what I see. It's crazy the prices people are paying for some of them, for some of the used and stuff like that. To me, I'm looking at a lot of these new homes are looking to be a better value. I understand a lot of people, okay, everything costs a lot, but if you're already going to be buying something and you're looking at used, in fact, I'm going to be coming up with a new show that's going to compare the new constructions to some used homes to see if they really are a better value than some of these used homes. So watch for that. That'll be coming up shortly. And if you're in the market, whether you're moving to Florida or within Florida, just give me a call at this phone number or shoot me a text there, or else send me an email, and then we'll meet, we'll get together, and then we'll go out there and I'll help you with buying your home. Or if you're looking to sell one, for that matter of fact. Hey, you know what? I can't believe we're in season 3 already. Week 3 now is in the can. Next week is 4, and until then, I'm out of here.